If you're curious about how to start an EV charging business and how they make money, then you're in the right spot. There are 6 main ways that EV charging companies make money. I covered the first 3 ways in my previous video, and today in this video, we're going to be going over the final 3 ways. If you're new here, my name's Trevor, and if not, welcome back to the channel. All right, let's pick up where we left off. The 4th way that EV charging companies make money that you'll need to establish is something called revenue sharing. Sometimes there are different terms for this. Revenue sharing, revenue split, or sometimes a transaction fee. But essentially what this is every time money goes into the EV chargers, the EV charging company is going to take a portion of it. The percentage of this also ranges. Usually it's between 15 and 30%, but this will all depend on the agreement in the contract. So if someone uses one of your chargers to charge their car and it costs them $10, which they pay through the app, then of that $10, $3 is going to go to the EV charging company and $7 will go to the host. All these details will be built into the contract agreement between the EV charging company and the host of the EV chargers. If you're the EV charging company, you can also be flexible with this as a negotiation tool to help close the deals. If there's a potential client that's interested in hosting your EV chargers at their locations, and they're a whale, so to speak, and by whale, I mean they have lots of locations that are in great areas with high traffic, then you definitely want to get your EV chargers in at these locations. But the revenue percentage is usually a pretty big deal and often a sticking point when negotiating the deal. Obviously, the hosts don't want to give up too much of the money that's going into the EV chargers. So as the EV charging company, you can reduce this percentage to help sweeten the deal and close the contract. For the EV charging company, establishing a healthy revenue share is a vital component in the success of the business long term. The revenue share is a recurring revenue that the business can really rely on. The EV charging company will know that for all the chargers they have out there, whenever somebody uses one, they're going to get a chunk of the money that goes into the chargers. This will help give them peace of mind for the long-term financial stability of the business. The 5th potential stream of revenue that you'll need to plan for as the EV charging company is carbon credits. Carbon credits are still in flux and probably the least reliable way to make money, but could also potentially be the most valuable. Every kilowatt that flows through those chargers can be added up and applied to the government for carbon credits. Right now, carbon credits are worth about $500, but as time goes on and the demand increases, the value will continue to rise. They could be worth thousands of dollars in the future. The thing is, carbon credits are still pretty new and a lot of people don't know what they are, and if they do, they're not quite sure how they work. The main thing to know is that the person or the entity that has their name on the electricity account is the one who has ownership over the carbon credits. There are some EV charging companies that work carbon credits into the agreement with their hosts. They may say, hey, we'll provide the EV chargers at a discounted rate if you transfer over your carbon credits. Or sometimes it's just in the fine print of the contract. Whether you're on the side of the EV charging company or on the side of the hosts, carbon credits are definitely something to look out for. The EV charging company isn't the one paying the electricity bill. It's not their electricity. So in order for them to take ownership of the carbon credits, the hosts will need to sign what's called an allocation agreement, which essentially transfers the ownership of the carbon credits from the host over to the EV charging company. Now, I think there's a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this, mostly because these carbon credits are pretty new and hosts don't always know what they're signing over could be potentially worth a lot of money in the future. So for good business practice, but more importantly, being a decent person, it would be wise to make sure that the hosts fully understand this concept before you get them to sign any agreement. This industry is still brand new and the general public isn't quite sure exactly how this all works. So please be transparent and make sure everybody's on the same page. All right, that's my public service announcement for the day. I think carbon credits are probably the most exciting part of this whole industry. There are companies now that are popping up, seems like every day, that are called carbon credit management companies. And they do exactly what it sounds like. They help manage people's carbon credits. So as an example, let's say there's a strata building, an apartment building, that has accumulated a handful of carbon credits over the years from their EV chargers, and they're now ready to sell them to make a profit. What do they do next? Well, one of the options is to reach out to one of these carbon credit management companies who will find a buyer and assist with the transaction of the sale of the carbon credits. I believe the technical term for this is an aggregator, but essentially they're just a broker for the carbon credits. But nothing in this world is free, right? So they will take a percentage of the transaction as a commission for helping to facilitate the deal. Also, now many EV charging companies are also offering carbon credit management services. It's just packaged in the list of services that they're offering as a company. This shows that business-minded people are starting to realize how valuable these carbon credits could be. So if you have a newly formed EV charging company and you're able to figure out this portion of the market, it could propel you way ahead of your competitors. The sixth way that EV charging companies make money is a tale as old as time, and it's through servicing and maintaining the EV chargers. I won't get into the weeds on this one because it's pretty straightforward, but the biggest thing that these chargers seem to struggle with is staying connected to the internet. There's a big difference between a broken charger and a charger that has been disconnected from the internet or the network. There are a few ways that chargers can be connected to the internet, but I would say the most common is by Wi-Fi or through cellular. With Wi-Fi, the charger is connected to the closest wireless router, and with cellular, there's a little SIM card that's placed inside the charger, and it's connected to the closest cell tower. Now, although these might be the most common ways of connecting to the network, they're certainly not the most reliable. We all know how touch and go Wi-Fi and cell signals can be, and EV chargers are no different. It's not uncommon for the chargers to become disconnected for a variety of different reasons. And this will be the reason behind the large majority of any of the service calls you receive. It's also the reason why they say a quarter of the EV chargers that are currently on the market aren't working. The good news is that reconnecting them is usually not that big of a deal. It can usually be done on the back end through the software. And worst comes to worst, you'll just need to send someone out to the site to physically restart the charger. Now, this is up to you as the EV charging company to decide if this is something you want to bill your host for. It all depends on the type of business model that you have. It may be something that you decide to cover the cost for that you just build into your offering with the hosts. It really depends on how much money you're making from the other 5 revenue streams that we discussed. But one thing to keep in mind is if you're receiving a revenue share from the money that's going into the chargers, then you definitely want to make sure that those chargers are working at full capacity so you can keep collecting money. So both you and the hosts are aligned in wanting these chargers to be working at full speed. I'll continue covering all aspects of the EV charging business and how to succeed in each lane, so stay tuned for more. Also, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate all my new subscribers. Thanks so much for checking in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.